values and faith vital in execution of duties. MACC to unleash anti-leakage crusade. Good evening and Salam Malaysia Madani. You're watching Malaysia Tonight. I'm Jessica Lee. Prime Minister Datuk Seri Anwar Ibrahim has highlighted the significance of upholding values and faith in the execution of duties by public officials at all levels. He emphasised that despite the ongoing technological advancements, individuals should not lose sight of the elevation of faith while simultaneously preserving ethical values. In drawing parallels, Datuk Seri Anwar referred to the narrative of the 7 youths of Ashabul Kahfi as narrated in the Quran's Surah Al-Kahfi. The story revolves around a time when the system, government and a tyrant king were engrossed in idol worship. Now, the believers, including the 7 youths, rejected this and sought refuge in a cave, showcasing their unwavering faith.
Allah menceritakan di dalam surah Kahfi, akan kuceritakan kisah yang benar. Ini saya kaitkan juga dengan penafsiran sejarah dalam Quran, Quranic interpretation of history. Bukan tarikhnya, bukan tempatnya, tetapi mesejnya. Mesejnya, cerita itu mengenai pemuda yang teguh iman, kental semangat mereka, dan diselamatkan dan ditambah petunjuk kepada mereka.
The Premier also underlined the importance of public servants learning from the resilience of the youths, which shielded them from engaging in polytheism and corruption. The Education Ministry, or MOE, has identified 16 examination centres in Terengganu that are at risk of being hit by the 4th wave of floods. Now, it involves 224 students who will be sitting for the Sijil Pelajaran Malaysia SPM examination in the districts of Hulu Terengganu, Setia, Dungun and Besut. Deputy Director General of Education, Professionalism Development Sector, Shafruddin Ali Hussein said the Terengganu Education Department has made the necessary preparations, such as relocating students to hostels or nearby schools, to ensure that the examination can be held as scheduled from the 31st of January to the 7th of March 2024. Shafruddin was met after the post-flood clean-up operation at Sekolah Kebangsaan Sungai Las in Setia. In the meantime, Shafruddin said the total loss incurred by schools affected by the floods in Terengganu is estimated at 340,000 ringgit, covering damages to furniture and equipment. He added that overall, 53 schools in 8 districts in Terengganu were affected by the floods that hit Terengganu on the 20th of November, while 79 schools have been used as temporary relief centres to accommodate flood evacuees in the affected districts. Health Minister Datuk Seri Dr. Zulkifli Ahmad said a total of 20 COVID-19 cases were detected among flood evacuees at temporary relief centres in Kelantan and Terengganu from the 22nd of December until yesterday. Now, he said of the total, 15 cases were reported in Kelantan, while another 5 were in Terengganu.
Dan kesemua kes COVID adalah stabil, dan daripada situ kategori 2 17, kategori 3 2 dan kategori 4 yang kita bawa ke audit itu adalah hanya 1 kes. Bahkan kategori 4 itu merupakan seorang warga MAS yang punya penyakit kronik komorbiditi yang tidak terkawal. Lalu kes ini telah pun kita bawa ke hospital Jeli dan hari ini saya diberitahu telah pun discharge, ya.
Elaborating further, the minister said that so far 297 medical teams, 286 health teams, 102 mental health and psychosocial support services teams, and 286 health literacy promotional teams have been deployed to relief centres in the flood-affected states to provide health services to flood evacuees. He added that the health team at the relief centres always conducts disease control and prevention activities such as inspecting food preparation equipment and the quality of drinking water, as well as eradicating mosquito breeding grounds to prevent the spread of infectious diseases. The year 2023 has further highlighted Malaysia's firm stance against the cruelties committed by Israel. The government, alongside its people, has actively raised its voice and expressed objections to the oppression faced by the Palestinians at the hands of the Zionists. The following reviews the efforts made by Malaysia. The 7th October retaliation unfolded another atrocities of Israel in its occupation history of the Palestinian land. Malaysia was among the earliest countries to oppose the cruelty of the Zionists. During the ASEAN GCC summit in Riyadh, Prime Minister Datuk Seri Anwar Ibrahim urged for an immediate halt to Israel's attacks on Gaza. Now, this followed by his visit to several other Muslim countries, including Turkey and Egypt. He met with the leaders of both countries, with the discussions focusing on Israel-Palestine conflict, including humanitarian efforts to Gaza. The focus then shifted towards the extraordinary OIC summit on Palestine, which took place simultaneously with the Arab summit. It led to the formation of the Riyadh Declaration. The final statement, among other things, urged the UN Security Council to make a decisive decision to immediately end Israel's aggression against Palestine. Malaysia, on the other hand, called on member states to support Arab peace initiatives and assist in negotiations for a two-state solution.
Support the Arab Peace Initiative and facilitate negotiations with reputable mediators to advance the two-state solution. With the recognition of an independent state of Palestine based on the pre-1967 borders with East Jerusalem as its capital.
Last month, during the APEC summit, the Prime Minister boldly voiced support for Palestine and opposition against Israel. Now, this matter was raised in front of the leaders of the APEC member countries, including the President of the United States. Furthermore, Malaysia, together with Indonesia and Brunei, issued a joint statement urging the implementation of a lasting ceasefire in Gaza. 2023 is nearing its end. However, the cruelty of the Zionists is still ongoing. Therefore, the efforts to defend the Palestinians must continue. May 2024 bring good news for Palestine and all those fighting for its freedom. Coming up in our business segment, Pulau Pinang to give priority to mega projects next year. The Malaysian Anti-Corruption Commission, or MACC, hopes of reducing fund leakages to support the country's overall economy. Now, in a New Year's video message, its Chief Commissioner, Tan Sri Azambaki, outlines his determination to ensure that MACC remains pertinent in 2024, emphasizing key areas of focus to maintain effectiveness and contribute positively to the nation.
Bermula pada tahun 2024. Ada beberapa fokus, tekad dan azam yang akan saya utamakan. Ia adalah bagi memastikan SPRM terus kekal relevan dan efektif dengan gerak kerja yang berjaya membantu negara, bukan sahaja mencapai negara sifar rasuah, namun turut mengurangkan ketirisan dana sekaligus meningkatkan ekonomi negara kita.
He also advised all MACC officers to adapt to the evolving landscape by upgrading their skills to meet new demands.
Kita bakal berhadapan dengan pelbagai cabaran, krisis dan tuntutan kerja baru. Semua ini menuntut perubahan dalam cara bekerja, berfikir dan bertindak. Jadi, amat penting untuk kita berubah. Kita perlu torokai yang baru, tinggalkan yang lapuk, baiki yang silap dan hindari yang salah.
Pulau Pinang must continue to lead, inspire and contribute to the well-being of all Malaysians based on the Malaysian Madani values and principles of the unity government. Chief Minister Chow Kon Yeow said that with the world changing rapidly, all efforts and objectives targeted by the federal government through the concept of Malaysia Madani will continue to be supported at the state level. Chow said the Pulau Pinang government will continue to steer the state through careful planning and implementation to achieve the Pulau Pinang 2030 vision, a people-centric, smart and green state that inspires the nation to revive the economic sector so that the development of the state and country can progress quickly and intensified. He emphasized that the success of the development and economic recovery achieved so far is the result of the state and federal governments constantly working together to ensure the implementation of projects or programs that benefit the people. He said the state government is focusing on social development to improve the well-being and quality of life of residents. Mega infrastructure projects such as the light rail transit, airport expansion and Silicon Island project in the southern part of the island are being given priority and have already commenced. Now, Bursa Malaysia is likely to trend higher in the first week of 2024 with a mild upside to be driven by banking and technology stocks. Inter-Pacific Asset Management Berhad Chief Economist and Fund Manager Datuk Dr. Nazri Khan expects the local market to trend between 1,450 and 1,460 next week, with some bargain hunting likely to emerge. He also noted that the trading volume had surged past 4 billion units and market breadth has been positive. Therefore, the market could be bullish next week. Now, looking ahead to 2024, Rakuten Trade Equity Research Vice President Tong Pak Ling said the brokerage firm holds a positive view on the performance of Malaysian equities, buoyed by the prospect that the US Federal Reserve is set to begin interest rate cuts and the return of foreign funds to the region. Now, for the holiday shortened week just ended, Bursa Malaysia traded mixed amid muted trading as investors continued to stay on the sidelines due to the holidays amid mild bargain hunting activities after the recent sell-off. Crude palm oil or CPO futures contract on Bursa Malaysia derivatives is likely to trade between the 3,450 ringgit and 3,550 ringgit per tonne range against a cautious backdrop next week. Now, Interbank Group of Companies senior palm oil trader Jim Tay said the market is expected to remain quiet with local and international traders back from their long Christmas and year-end break. Elsewhere, palm oil trader David Ng is also expecting the market to trade range-bound and amid mixed sentiments as a weaker export pace is weighing down palm oil prices despite weaker output expectation. Meanwhile, Mumbai-based Sunvin Group Commodity Research Head Anil Kumar Bagani said the Malaysian Palm Oil Board is expecting the industry to stage a stronger performance next year in anticipation of rising demand for vegetable oils in sync with the world's increasing population. At the close, January 2024 shed 15 ringgit to 3,662 ringgit per tonne. February 2024 fell 24 ringgit to 3,695 ringgit, while March and April 2024 decreased 17 ringgit each to 3,721 ringgit and 3,718 ringgit per tonne, respectively. Total weekly volume, meanwhile, declined to 159,990 lots from 239,804 in the preceding week, while open interest narrowed to 214,074 contracts from 217,514 previously. The fiscal CPO price for December south slid 20 ringgit to 3,700 ringgit per tonne on Friday as compared to the previous week. The rubber market is likely to trade higher next week on expectations of lower production as well as restocking activities. Malaysian Rubber Glove Manufacturers Association past president Dennis Loh said many rubber producing areas are currently flooded and rubber tapping activities have declined by 40 to 50% in most places. He noted that as such, there is a shortfall in rubber production which ought to push up the prices depending on the demand appetite. Now, for the week just ended, the local rubber market was traded mostly higher, influenced by the performance of regional rubber futures and fluctuations in crude oil prices. A dealer said the Kuala Lumpur rubber market surged in the last trading week of 2023, buoyed by gains in the regional rubber futures markets, tracking ramped-up expectations that the United States will start cutting interest rates next year. She noted that China's latest announcement on stimulus measures, coupled with favorable market fundamentals, especially tighter rubber supply concerns due to wet weather in producing countries, also added to the bullish sentiment in the market. On a Friday-to-Friday basis, the Malaysian Rubber Board's reference price for standard Malaysia Rubber 20 rose 26.5 cents to close the week at 700.5 cents per kilogram versus 674 cents per kilogram a week earlier. Suspended budget carrier My Airline has urged its customers to be vigilant against potential frauds in relation to pending refunds of its tickets. Now, this following reports of individuals falsely claiming to be representatives of My Airline reaching out to customers awaiting refunds for their flight bookings. In a statement, My Airline advised its customers to ensure that their communications are with official email addresses or contact numbers associated with the carrier, adding that correspondence should come from its myairline.my domain. Now, the carrier also urged its customers to report immediately to its official customer support channels or relevant authorities if they encounter any suspicious communication or fraudulent behavior. On the 12th of October, My Airline announced the suspension of its flight operations, citing significant financial pressure. About 125,000 passengers holding 22 million ringgit worth of tickets have been affected by the suspension. The Masing Group Berhad is optimistic on the mid to long-term outlook for the property sector, supported by strong fundamental demand for properties due to the young population. In a statement released recently, the group said demand for houses from the first-time house buyers should remain resilient. The group registered 1.8 billion ringgit in property sales for the 9-month period ended 30th of September 2023, an increase of 14.4% compared with 1.57 billion ringgit in the same period last year. Now, the impressive sales momentum was mainly driven by the strong take-up rates for the M-Series developments. Masing founder and group managing director Tan Sri Leong Hoi Kum said the group should continue to benefit from the 5-year stamp duty waiver for residential properties priced below 500,000 ringgit for first-time house buyers and the government's plan in easing the current conditions of the Malaysia My Second Home applications, which is timely to attract foreign buyers. Masing has procured 5 plots of land this year, specifically for M Terra and M Hana projects in Puchong, M Tiara in Johor Bahru, M Legacy in Semenyih, M Zenya in Kepong, and M Azura in Setapak. Now, these acquisitions collectively add up to an approximate gross development value, or GDV, of 5.5 billion ringgit. The International Islamic Liquidity Management Corporation, or IILM, has announced the appointment of Muhammad Shafri Shahul Hamid as the new Chief Executive Officer, or CEO, for a 3-year tenure, effective 1st of January 2024. Now, in a statement, it said the new appointment was approved by the IILM's governing board at its 31st meeting in Istanbul, Turkey, on the 12th of December. Muhammad Shafri brings with him almost 30 years of experience in the banking and financial sector, including over 20 years of meaningful experience as a pioneer, structurer, transactor, and renowned leader in the Islamic banking and finance locally and internationally. He joined the IILM after spending 13 years at CIMB Bank, during which he served in various capacities, including as a senior managing director at the bank's public sector group and as deputy CEO for CIMB Islamic. He also has a strong credit background, having served as one of the Group Credit Committee members at CIMB Bank for about 8 years between 2012 and 2020, as well as a senior analyst at Malaysian Rating Corporation Berhad from 2000 to 2003. He is a chartered accountant with the Malaysian Institute of Accounts. He will succeed Dr. Umar Oseni, who will complete his term today after serving his role since the 1st of January 2020. South Korea's economy is forecast to grow by an average of 2% next year, as it is expected to struggle with weak domestic demand in spite of a gradual recovery in exports. The average outlook by 20 local and international think tanks are largely in line with the 2.1% growth forecast recently announced by the Bank of Korea. The state-run Korea Development Institute and the Korea Institute for Industrial Economics have projected growth rates of 2.2% and 2% for the next year, respectively. Now, Korea Institute of Finance has put forth a 2.1% growth forecast. Now, growth projections by the International Monetary Fund, the Asian Development Bank, and the Organization for Economic Cooperation and Development were averaged at 2.2%. The three international institutions all projected for the South Korean economy to benefit from a rebound in the global chips industry and China's economic recovery, but noted potential risks involving growing household and corporate debts. Private think tanks and securities firms, meanwhile, have released relatively lower growth outlooks. Now, the growth projection by 5 key institutions, including Hyundai Research Institute, LG Economic Research Institute, and Woori Finance Research Institute, was averaged at 2%. China's transport system handled 41.768 million passengers trips yesterday, the first day of the New Year holiday, up 73.3% from last year. Now, according to estimates, China's national railway system hosted an estimated 15.8 million passengers yesterday, while around 23.5 million people traveled by roads, 1.881 million by plane, and another 600,000 by boat. To cope with the high passenger flow, railway authorities have taken measures to increase capacity for passengers and cargo. Beijing South Railway Station has optimized entry routes and opened all security checkpoints during peak periods to facilitate quick and convenient access for passengers. There was heavy fog in some parts of the country on the day, with many passengers choosing to travel by train rather than risk delays at airports. The Zibo railway station in East China's Shandong province has opened additional manual entry channels and strengthened passenger flow guidance based on the situation. The cold weather in certain areas has prompted local railway departments to step up efforts to ensure the smooth transportation of coal for power generation and heating during the New Year holiday. OpenAI, the developer of the ChatGPT artificial intelligence or AI chatbot, increased its annual revenue to $1.6 billion, an increase of 23% compared to October, when the company's revenue reached $1.3 billion. According to a report by The Informations, the increased sales of the ChatGPT chatbot to other enterprises were the main reason for the revenue growth. Now, earlier in December, Bloomberg reported, citing sources, that OpenAI was in talks to raise additional funding in the amount of at least $100 billion. OpenAI's ChatGPT gained popularity after its launch in November last year, attracting its first million users in less than a week. In late January, Microsoft said it would invest billions of dollars in OpenAI. Earlier in March, OpenAI unveiled a new multi-model AI model, GPT-4, which is capable of recognizing both text and images and solving complex problems with greater accuracy. In our foreign segment, final bodies found after China's earthquake. Now, the bodies of the 2 remaining people missing in the aftermath of China's most serious earthquake in nearly a decade were found today, a tragedy that has renewed concern over exposed populations in seismically active zones. The final bodies were found in Qinghai at 1:16 a.m. local time. That raises official fatalities from the magnitude 6.2 quake that rocked the northwestern provinces of Qinghai and Gansu almost 2 weeks ago to 151. The earthquake was the most serious in China since a magnitude 6.5 trembler struck the southwestern province of Yunnan in 2014 and killed 617 people. The tragedy in disaster-hit Qinghai and Gansu has renewed concern over over outdated and poorly built homes. Now, many of the homes destroyed were made of earthwood or brickwood structures. Their load-bearing walls were constructed from earth, providing little defense against any earthquake. Now, coastal communities in California face another day of towering waves and possible flooding as officials issued evacuation orders in some areas and warned residents to stay off beaches and coastal roadways. The National Weather Service in Los Angeles forecast significant flooding in low-lying coastal areas with powerful waves and strong rip currents posing an exceptional risk of drowning and damage to structures like piers and jetties. Now, waves as high as 6.1 meters could wreak more havoc on waterside homes in vulnerable communities along much of the California shoreline, battered by extreme surf and heavy rains over the end of the week. Officials in Southern California's Ventura County issued an evacuation warning for residences along the Pacific Coast Highway, and area beaches remained closed. Next up in sports, Turtles axe 12 players for next season. Terengganu FC or TFC have dropped 12 players for next season's Malaysia League or the M League. Terengganu Football Club Sidran Berhad Chief Executive Officer Muhammad Sabri Abbas said they include 6 import players as well as 5 local players. The 6 foreign stalwarts dropped are Sony Nordi, Sardo Kulmatov, Omid Nazari, Adisak Kryson, Jordan Minta and skipper Habib Harun. Meanwhile, the local players given the chop are Adib Zainuddin, Azharul Nazarith Azhar, Wan Muhammad Fazli Wan Ghazali, Rahmat Makasuf, as well as Shafawi Muhammad. Another player being released by the club is Liridon Krasniki, a naturalized player who was loaned to TFC by Johor Darul Takzim this season. The Turtles had previously announced that they would hire 5 or 6 import players next season compared to 9 this year as part of their cost-cutting measures. However, TFC have retained the services of their Croatian-born head coach Tomislav Steinbruckner and import striker Ivan Mahmud for another season. National bowling ace Muhammad Rafi Ismail is ready to take his game a notch higher after becoming a father recently. The 2018 world champion, whose wife gave birth to their first child recently, said his son is all the motivation and inspiration he needs to continue to dominate the Asian men's bowling scene. The 2018 Asian Games gold medalist is also satisfied with his performance this year, having proven to be a class above the rest when he clinched 4 gold medals at the 26th Asian 10-pin bowling championships in Hong Kong in January. The 26-year-old proved his mettle in Hong Kong by winning the men's masters, all events, team and trios. Now, based on the Asian Bowling Federation ranking, Muhammad Rafiq is Asia's #1 for the 3rd year running since 2021 after accumulating 442 points. And that concludes this evening's Malaysia Tonight. In our top story, upholding values and faith vital in execution of duties. From the river to the sea, Palestine will be free. Happy New Year's Eve. I'm Jessica Lee. Thank you for watching. I'll see you next year.